Today is Monday, December 19th. We'll tell you about the next winter storm that could impact holiday travel plans. Also, the nearly 2-year investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot is finally coming to a close. What to expect from lawmakers' last public meeting today. Plus, a warning for dark chocolate lovers. Elon Musk's offer to step down as the head of Twitter. And what some fans are calling the best World Cup final ever. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. A lot of the U.S. is about to see some extreme winter weather just as millions of Americans plan to head out for the holidays. We're talking about potentially record low temperatures along with rain and snow for the eastern two-thirds of the country. Even South Texas won't be spared. Really, the only parts of the U.S. that will be in for a warm Christmas will be Southern California, South Florida, and Hawaii. This latest winter weather system started over the weekend in the northern Rockies. It's expected to reach the Midwest by the middle of the week and then should impact much of the eastern U.S. by Friday. And some areas will get so cold it could reach 45 degrees below normal for this time of year. The National Weather Service says in the northern states, highs will only reach into the single digits and lows will fall into the sub-zero territory. Other places are going to see a drastic change. For example, Denver goes from a high of 46 degrees today to only 14 by Thursday. Oh, and we should also mention the snow. It's expected to fall over the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Great Lakes regions more than anywhere else. Then much of the East Coast will likely be getting heavy rain and strong winds. So at this point, meteorologists just want everyone who's traveling to pay close attention to the forecast and be flexible this holiday season because the weather could definitely change things. Today, lawmakers investigating the January 6th Capitol riot will be getting together for what's likely their final public meeting. They're trying to decide whether to recommend the Justice Department take up unprecedented criminal charges against former President Trump. The AP cites sources who say the lawmakers will vote on 3 different charges: insurrection, obstructing an official proceeding, and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. But again, it's ultimately up to the DOJ, which also has its own investigation underway with a special counsel. So today's vote is seen as mostly symbolic. Either way, we should know this afternoon exactly what lawmakers on the panel decide and why after their nearly 2-year investigation. The committee's chair told Axios there could also be evidence coming out today that hasn't been shared in any of the previous hearings. But former President Trump says the entire investigation is politically motivated. He says he did nothing illegal. Stay tuned. Ukraine is bracing for an especially brutal winter. Top Ukrainian officials say Russia might be getting ready to launch mass attacks, and that it's likely the Russian military will once again try to overtake the Ukrainian capital, this time with hundreds of thousands of troops. So Ukraine is training its military to fight against them with an arsenal of weapons that keeps getting more modern thanks to help from Western allies like the U.S. Remember, the U.S. is reportedly planning to introduce the highly sophisticated Patriot missile defense system to Ukraine. Plus, the U.S. military announced it will expand Ukraine military training in Germany. Starting next month, 500 troops a month will be trained. As of this morning, there are no plans for peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, but Ukraine's president has been trying to share his message of peace to the world. This year, he appeared via video at the Grammys and Cannes Film Festival and more. But most recently, President Zelensky wanted to record a video message for fans at the World Cup. Yet, as CNN reports, the soccer governing body, FIFA, would not allow it. So far, no comment from FIFA about why, but when other issues have come up, the head of FIFA has said he just doesn't want the game to get political. It was a nail-biter of a final at the 2022 World Cup, but in the end, Argentina came out on top. Sports analysts are already calling the championship match one for the history books. After more than 120 minutes of back and forth on the field, Argentina and France were tied at 3 goals each. So the game came down to penalty kicks. Argentina's players bested the French in the shootout 4-2. Argentina's star player, Lionel Messi, scored 2 of his team's 3 points in what he said will be his final World Cup. French player Kylian Mbappe is also getting a lot of attention for his performance, even though his team lost. Mbappe pulled off a hat trick, scoring all of France's 3 goals. And with 8 goals total in the entire tournament, he ended up being the World Cup's top scorer. Since he's only 23 years old right now, he's expected to be back for the next World Cup in 2026. Meanwhile, the celebrations are still going on in Argentina today. This is their 3rd World Cup championship win, but their first since 1986. More news is coming up, but first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's that time of year that causes me to start reflecting on my life more than I usually do. And some years, if I'm feeling sort of stuck, I found that it can be helpful in these moments to talk it out in therapy. Whether it's related to a career change, new relationship, becoming a parent, or just wanting to do the small stuff a little bit differently, therapists are trained to help you figure it all out in a way that is true to you. Well, as the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/newsworthy. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/newsworthy. NASA's mission to survey nearly all of the water on Earth's surface has begun. The Surface Water and Ocean Topography Mission, or SWOT for short, blasted into orbit over the weekend. NASA's current fleet of Earth-observing satellites can't make out enough details for the job, but now SWOT will map the ocean along with millions of rivers, lakes, and other bodies of water. It'll also measure the height of water on more than 90% of Earth's surface. What scientists learn from SWOT's measurement is meant to help understand how our oceans are playing a part in climate change, and hopefully better prepare for flooding and other water-related disasters. This mission will take at least the next 3 years. Well, Consumer Reports found some brand-name dark chocolate bars have potentially harmful levels of heavy metals. The investigation tested 28 different dark chocolate bars from popular name brands like Hershey's, Dove, Godiva, and more. Researchers found all 28 chocolate bars contained the elements of cadmium and lead. And 5 of them, including Trader Joe's and Green and Black's, had what Consumer Reports considered high levels of both. Long-term exposure to these heavy metals have been linked to a variety of health problems. Consumer Reports experts say just eating an ounce a day of most of these dark chocolate bars is all it would take to potentially give you harmful effects over time. Some manufacturers with higher levels of the 2 metals in the test told Consumer Reports these metals occur naturally in the soil, and companies take steps to try to reduce it. And an industry trade group pointed out that all the products in the study do comply with strict federal quality and safety requirements already. The report acknowledges dark chocolate is sometimes seen as a healthier option because of benefits like antioxidants, so it offers some best practices for eating it, like keep it only to an occasional treat, alternate it with milk chocolate, don't give kids much dark chocolate, and choose brands with the lowest levels of heavy metals based on this testing, which you can find the full report and results in today's episode notes. Twitter seems to be walking back another rule change that sparked controversy. Just yesterday, the company said it would ban links to other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, and Mastodon. Not only is that different from what Twitter users have been able to do in the past, but critics are saying it also goes against the idea of an open web, which new Twitter owner Elon Musk has said he's all for. Musk said the change was to prevent, quote, relentless advertising of competitors for free. But then, less than 24 hours later, Twitter deleted the blog post that outlined the new policy. Musk also put out a tweet that said, going forward, there will be a vote for any major policy changes. And moments later, he posted a poll asking if he should step down as head of Twitter. As of this morning, more than 13 million people have voted, and the yes votes are ahead. That poll is set to close in just a few hours. But even if the yeses win and Musk does go along with the results, he would still be the owner. And it's not clear who would actually be in charge. In a follow-up tweet, Musk wrote, quote, "No one wants the job who can actually keep Twitter alive. There is no successor." To be continued. The sequel to the highest-grossing movie of all time splashed its way into theaters over the weekend, but this one didn't pull in quite as much money as expected. Avatar 2: The Way of Water brought in $134 million in the U.S. and Canada, and that is definitely still considered a lot of money. But several Marvel and Hollywood blockbusters earned more during their opening weekends this year, like the latest Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Batman movies. Here's the thing, though. Director James Cameron told GQ that this Avatar sequel was so expensive to make, it would actually need to be at least the 3rd or 4th highest-grossing film in history to just break even. And that is still possible since a lot of people are expected to hit the theaters over the holidays, but so far at least, it did not break any huge records on opening weekend. The first candle of the menorah has officially been lit. Hanukkah started at sundown last night, and the Jewish holiday will last for the next week. So for Jewish people around the world, each night will be filled with lighting a menorah, good food like brisket and potato pancakes called latkes, fun, family, and presents. By the way, for the first time ever, a menorah lighting ceremony was featured on Sunday Night Football. It happened during the New York Giants and Washington Commanders game in Washington, D.C. last night. And 3,000 miles away, there was also a menorah lighting at the game between the LA Chargers and Tennessee Titans. And the world's largest menorah was lit in New York City. Well, that's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, where we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, a message from our sponsor. Did you know that the popular horror movie Scream wasn't just some made-up story from the mind of a creative screenwriter, but it was actually inspired by real-life crimes? The Moms and Murder podcast talked about this creepy connection in their recent episode based on true events. Moms and Murder is a true crime podcast hosted by quick-witted friends Melissa and Mandy. Whether you're looking for something a little more true crime light or something more serious, Moms and Murder is sure to have something that catches your interest. No wonder they hold a spot in the top 100 true crime podcasts on Apple Podcasts. These moms balance their delivery of facts and levity, making you feel like you're sitting in the same room having a conversation with them. Be advised that Moms and Murder is undergoing a name change, so ring in the new year with the new title Moms and Mysteries, highlighting a real crime every Tuesday. Subscribe to Moms and Murder. Simply search their name on whatever app you're listening on right now. Just open your podcast app of choice, type Moms and Murder, then hit subscribe. That's Moms and Murder, soon to be Moms and Mysteries, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Okay, now back to Money Monday. It may not be the easiest time to buy a home, but things seem to be getting at least a little easier for prospective home buyers. Mortgage rates dropped for their fifth straight week last week. So now the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is hanging around 6.3%. At the start of November, that same rate was about 7.3%, a whole percentage point higher. And on a $300,000 mortgage, that single percentage point could come out to a difference of $200 a month. Still, rates are basically double what they were a year ago, since back then they were hovering around 3.1%. Experts say it could take years before rates get that low again. Things are also improving for those who decide to rent instead of own their homes. The home hunting app Zillow says the average cost to rent nationwide has dropped nearly 0.5% in the last month. In some of the most expensive cities like Seattle and Austin, Texas, rents are falling even faster, down more than 1%. Zillow says this is the fastest rent rates have dropped since it began tracking the cost of rent years ago. Now the national average cost of rent is a little more than $2,000 a month. All right, thank you so much for listening today and every day. If you get value out of the show, be sure to share it with a friend today. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.